Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the world of coins, history, and everything in between. If you're a coin collector or just fascinated by the unique history behind some of the most iconic pieces of currency, you've come to the right place. In today's video, we'll be focusing on 5 fascinating and unique US 5-cent coins better known as nickels. These coins have their own intriguing stories, historical context, design details, and valuable errors that collectors just can't get enough of. So, let's start with the 1965 USA 5-cent coin, which is part of the iconic Jefferson Nickel series. Introduced in 1938, the Jefferson Nickel has undergone various changes throughout its history. The 1965 nickel is a fascinating piece due to its context in post-World War II America and the unique minting situation of the mid-1960s. The 1965 5-cent coin was produced at a time of great economic transformation in the United States. After World War II, the nation was experiencing a shift in industrial production, and the post-war boom led to more demand for coinage. By 1965, the U.S. was also facing a coin shortage, which would soon lead to the decision to eliminate silver from all circulating coins. But the 1965 5-cent nickel was still made of a copper-nickel alloy, which had been the standard since 1866. The coin's design features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, designed by artist Felix Schlag. This design has remained largely unchanged, and it reflects Jefferson's contributions to the founding of the United States. The reverse of the 1965 nickel features Jefferson's home, Monticello, which has been a central motif since the coin's original design in 1938. Now let's talk about the design details. The obverse features the left-facing profile of Thomas Jefferson, with the inscription, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year, 1965. The reverse depicts Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, with the words Monticello and E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. The 5-cent denomination is also prominently displayed. Regarding mintage, over 1 billion 1965 nickels were produced across all 3 mint facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. However, due to their high mintage, the 1965 5-cent coin isn't considered particularly rare today. In terms of market value, most 1965 nickels are worth face value or a small premium over that. However, coins in excellent condition, especially uncirculated specimens, can fetch slightly higher prices. A well-preserved 1965 nickel can go for a few dollars, around $200 to $500 depending on the grade. Now, let's talk about some error coins. While the 1965 nickel is not known for having widespread errors, a few interesting ones have popped up over the years. The most notable error is the so-called double die error, where the design elements, such as Jefferson's portrait, appear doubled. These errors occur when a coin is struck more than once in slightly different positions, leading to an overlap in the design. These errors are rare and are highly sought after by collectors. Collector interest in the 1965 nickel isn't as intense as some other coins, but it still holds a certain charm for those who are collecting Jefferson nickels or focusing on coins from the 1960s era. It's a great coin to start with for beginner collectors interested in understanding the basics of the nickel series. Moving on, let's take a look at another iconic nickel, the 1983 USA 5-cent coin. The 1983 5-cent coin stands out because of the dramatic economic changes happening in the U.S. during the early 1980s. While the coin itself has the same Jefferson design, its production marked an important moment in U.S. coinage history. In 1983, the U.S. economy was transitioning under President Ronald Reagan's administration. Inflation was high, and the economy was moving toward a period of significant growth and expansion. This is important to note because, by this time, the cost of producing coins had risen considerably, and there were serious discussions about the value of metals used in minting. The 1983 nickel continued to be made from the traditional copper-nickel alloy, which had been in use since 1866. The 1983 coin, however, had to contend with the rising price of metals. With the penny's composition also under review, it's interesting to note that the 1983 nickel was produced during a time when coin production costs were increasingly becoming a hot topic in the U.S. Treasury. Just like the 1965 nickel, the 1983 5-cent piece features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. The obverse inscription includes the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year, 1983. On the reverse, Monticello's depiction is slightly more detailed than in earlier versions, with more attention to the architectural features of the building. In 1983, over 700 million 5-cent coins were minted, again across all three major U.S. mint facilities. The mintage numbers are large, so the 1983 nickel isn't considered rare. As such, most of these coins are worth their face value, and even in mint state, they only command a small premium around $300 to $600, depending on the grade. However, some errors such as off-center strikes or die cracks have been discovered, and these can boost the value for collectors interested in error coins. Like the 1965 nickel, the 1983 version has some interesting error coins. The most common errors for the 1983 5-cent coin include off-center strikes, weak strikes, and die cracks. These imperfections are highly valued among error coin collectors. If you're lucky enough to find an uncirculated 1983 nickel with one of these errors, it could be worth much more than just a few cents. Overall, the 1983 nickel is often sought by collectors who are focusing on coins from the 1980s or completing a set of Jefferson nickels. Next, let's turn our attention to the 1962 USA 5-cent coin. The 1962 USA 5-cent coin, part of the Jefferson Nickel series, is another significant coin in the history of U.S. numismatics. It was produced at a time when the country was still dealing with the aftermath of the Korean War and entering the midst of the Cold War. In 1962, the U.S. economy was entering a period of expansion. The coinage from this era represents a unique period of history, as America was about to embark on the civil rights movement, and the coin designs themselves reflect a period of stability in U.S. currency. One thing to note about the 1962 nickel is that it was produced just 3 years before the minting of the 1965 coin we discussed earlier, which would introduce the switch away from silver in U.S. coinage. The 1962 5-cent coin features the same design as the 1965 nickel. The obverse features Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse shows Monticello. The overall design is timeless, and it's still widely recognized by collectors today. The 1962 nickel had a mintage of around 200 million coins, making it a bit rarer than the 1965 variety, but still not particularly valuable unless in high-grade or error conditions. Typically, a 1962 5-cent coin is worth its face value unless it's in uncirculated or excellent condition, in which case it could fetch between $400 and $650. Similar to the 1965 and 1983 coins, the 1962 5-cent coin has been found with errors. The most sought after of these are double die errors, where the image on the coin appears more than once, creating a blurry effect on the lettering or design. These error coins are highly prized by collectors, especially those focusing on mid-century American coinage. Next we moving on to the 1977 USA 5-cent coin, another Jefferson nickel that was produced during a particularly turbulent time in American history. In 1977, the U.S. was dealing with economic challenges like high inflation and a struggling post-Vietnam War economy. The 1977 nickel, however, is still a favorite among collectors for several reasons. While 1977 might not be remembered for any major historical events tied directly to coinage, it was a pivotal year for the economy. Inflation was on the rise, and interest rates were climbing, which had a lasting effect on coin production and currency circulation in the U.S. The design of the 1977 Jefferson nickel remains largely unchanged from previous years. It features the same portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with the word Liberty and the year 1977 inscribed. The reverse, featuring Jefferson's home, Monticello, was designed by John Sinek. The coin also displays the phrase E pluribus unum and Monticello. Over 200 million 1977 nickels were produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints combined. This makes the 1977 nickel another common coin in circulated condition. In general, they are worth about 10 to 25 cents, although well-preserved, uncirculated coins can be valued higher. Collectors look for specific variations and errors in the 1977 nickel, such as double dies and misstrikes. The most popular error with this coin involves a misalignment between the obverse and reverse dies, which can lead to some interesting designs and higher value coins. Finally, we'll be taking a detailed look at a coin that holds a special place in U.S. numismatic history, the 1954 USA 5-cent coin, more commonly known as the 1954 Jefferson Nickel. We'll go into its historical context, design features, mintage details, market value, common errors, and what makes this particular coin so interesting to collectors. So, grab your magnifying glass, because we're about to dive into the details. To truly appreciate the 1954 USA 5-cent coin, we first need to take a step back in time. The year 1954 was part of the post-World War II era, a time when America was experiencing significant social and economic change. The country was moving forward into the era of prosperity, the rise of consumerism, and the early days of the Cold War. During this time, the U.S. Mint was busy producing coins to meet the demand of an expanding economy. One of the most notable coins being produced during this period was the Jefferson Nickel, which had been introduced in 1938 as a replacement for the Buffalo nickel. By 1954, the Jefferson Nickel had been in circulation for over a decade and had already undergone various design and minting changes. However, 1954 was unique in several ways, and this coin would soon become a key date in the long history of the Jefferson Nickel series. Now, let's take a close look at the design features of the 1954 USA 5-cent coin. It's part of the Jefferson Nickel series, and as such, it shares much of the same design as earlier issues. Let's break down the obverse and reverse of the coin. On the front of the 1954 nickel, you'll find a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, and one of the Founding Fathers. This portrait was created by artist Felix Schlag, who won a design competition in 1938. The profile of Jefferson is shown facing to the right, with the inscription, Liberty, along the top edge, the year of minting, 1954, directly below his bust, and, In God We Trust, above his shoulder. The coin's motto, E pluribus unum, which translates to, out of many, one, is also inscribed across the coin's top edge. Jefferson's likeness on the nickel is known for its dignified simplicity, which reflects the country's respect for Jefferson's role in shaping American ideals. Interestingly, some collectors claim that the facial features on the 1954 coin are slightly softer and more rounded compared to earlier years. This could be due to wear and tear on the original dies, which were in use for multiple years during the 1950s. The reverse of the 1954 Jefferson Nickel features Monticello, the historic Virginia home of Thomas Jefferson. This design is a continuation from the original 1938 issue and was created by artist John Flanagan. Monticello is depicted in a somewhat simplified, architectural style. The inscription on the reverse reads, Monticello, at the top, followed by, E pluribus unum, and 5 cents, beneath the image of the building. The mint mark, indicating where the coin was struck, is also located on the reverse. It's important to note that the 1954 nickel could have been struck in one of 3 U.S. mint locations, Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, mint mark D, or San Francisco, mint mark S. The mint marks appear just below Monticello on the reverse side of the coin. Now, let's talk numbers specifically, the mintage of the 1954 USA 5-cent coin. Understanding how many coins were minted helps us gauge the rarity of a coin, which plays a big role in its market value today. The total mintage of the 1954 Jefferson Nickel was fairly high, with 91,940,000 coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. However, coins with mint marks from Denver and San Francisco had significantly smaller production numbers, making them more sought after by collectors. 1954 Philadelphia Nickel, no mint mark 91,940,000 coins produced. 1954 Denver Nickel, mint mark D 20,755,000 coins produced. 1954 San Francisco Nickel, mint mark S 16,600,000 coins produced. Even with these relatively high production figures, the 1954 nickel remains a popular coin for collectors, especially in higher grades. The key to its value lies in the coin's condition, rarity, and any potential errors or unique features that may make a particular piece stand out. In terms of market value, a typical 1954 Jefferson nickel in average circulated condition, such as a grade of good 4, can be found for around $200 to $500. However, uncirculated examples in mint state, especially those graded MS 65 or higher, can fetch anywhere from $700 to $1,500. Coins with rare mint errors or anomalies can see their values rise even higher, sometimes reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the error and rarity. One of the reasons why the 1954 USA 5-cent coin is so highly regarded by collectors is its connection to both the Jefferson Nickel series and the broader historical context of post-World War II America. It represents a time when the country was on the brink of monumental social and technological change, with the rise of suburbanization, the growth of the middle class, and the beginning of the space race. But beyond that, collectors love the 1954 nickel for its aesthetic appeal and the historical significance of Jefferson himself. The coin's design has stood the test of time, and it continues to be a favorite among those collecting U.S. coins from the mid-20th century. What really sets the 1954 coin apart from other Jefferson nickels is its relatively low mintage numbers at the Denver and San Francisco mints. These mint-marked versions of the coin are often harder to find in high grades, which makes them especially attractive to serious collectors. Moreover, coins with the S mint mark, struck at the San Francisco Mint, are particularly valued in higher grades. Another reason the 1954 Jefferson nickel holds collector interest is its potential for errors or variations. As with any coin, small imperfections or minting mistakes can lead to valuable discoveries. Error coins from this period can range from minor die cracks to more significant flaws, such as double strikes or off-center minting. While such errors are relatively rare, finding one can significantly increase the value of a coin. For collectors focusing on complete sets of Jefferson nickels, the 1954 coin serves as an essential part of the series. Its availability in a variety of grades from heavily worn coins to pristine, uncirculated pieces means that collectors at all levels can find a version of the 1954 nickel that fits their collection goals. As with any coin series, the 1954 Jefferson nickel has its share of interesting errors. While not as widely known for dramatic mistakes like some other coin series, the 1954 nickel does feature a few varieties and errors that can catch a collector's eye. Double die errors are one of the most common types of mistakes found on U.S. coins, and the 1954 Jefferson nickel is no exception. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin was misaligned during the minting process, creating a slight doubling of the image. On the 1954 nickel, the most common double die errors are found in the lettering, particularly on the word Liberty. A strong doubling in this area can make the coin significantly more valuable to collectors. Another type of error found on the 1954 Jefferson nickel is die cracks. These are small cracks that form in the die used to strike the coin, and they can lead to imperfections in the coin's design. A die crack running through the obverse or reverse can be a notable feature, and coins with these cracks in unusual places may be worth more to error collectors. Off-center strikes are another interesting error that can occur, though they are rarer with the 1954 nickel. An off-center strike happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, leading to a portion of the design being cut off. Depending on the severity of the misalignment, an off-center coin can be quite valuable, especially if a significant portion of the design is missing. While not as common on the 1954 nickel, some collectors look for overdates and repunched mint marks, indicators that a coin was struck with a die that had been previously used or altered. While these errors are more often seen in older coins, it's always worth keeping an eye out for such anomalies. Thanks for joining us today on Coins Action. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on future videos. Until next time, happy collecting.